Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you for that intro, Tayo, and I thank you guys for all having me. Kayla for helping me with the logistics of getting this booked and on the calendar. We made it happen, and here we are. I'm thankful to all of you for taking out the time to even want to hear a sentence, let alone a whole almost hour of what I have to say and us having a dialogue, which is what this is all about. So I guess I'm not gonna belabor the point. I mean, Tayo just walked through my bio, so you know a little bit about me. I feel, in some respects, I know I'm young, but I feel a little bit old sometimes when I'm like listening to somebody say that bio out loud. I'm like, I did that. But it just goes to show you what's possible when you put your head down, you do the work, and you stay true to who you are. From the University of Georgia, we're equipped with so many great resources and such a great environment to utilize our talents in, and so that we can create a path for ourselves that's not only characteristic of the excellence from University of Georgia, but it's also unique in our own way. And as you hear me say a lot of times, no two paths are the same. So just because I'm sitting here talking about what I did, your path is probably not going to be the exact same, and nor should it be. It's more so about maybe being able to be in a position to share experiences that I've had or tips that I found useful, and that way you can apply it to your own journey and to your own path, and create the path that you're destined to be on. So, as you're seeing the picture up here right now, that was me taken at the anchor desk at GMA. And that's kind of like what I do now. Pre-corona, obviously, I'm producing from home right now, but I was in the studio a lot prior to the coronavirus and the pandemic. So, you know, mornings were filled with me running around that studio with the bright lights, making sure our segments were great with Robin Roberts, Michael Strahan, George Stephanopoulos, a slew of our anchors and talent and correspondents. But also, my role deals a lot with celebrities in entertainment. So I'm in charge of making sure if we have a guest or a celebrity on the show, that that segment goes off well intentioned, and that it goes off as well as it's supposed to be, in regards to editorial aesthetics, execution, all of those aspects. I cannot say that every time it goes off perfectly, but the job of a producer is to do everything we can to make that so. So yeah, so that's a little bit about me and what I'm currently doing. I guess we can move on to the next one. And at any point, if you guys have any questions, Tayo, if you guys see somebody raising their hand or sending an urgent question in the chat function, I'm more than happy to take it. I want this to be kind of collaborative. I don't want to sit here and you know, talk you guys to sleep. Even though I do find myself exciting, you may not at certain times. So for whatever reason, if you need to stop me, please, I encourage you to do so. I'm going to kind of create the framework getting into this discussion. I kind of wanted to set it around five main tentpole ideas or guidelines, rather, that I've used to get to where I am today. Again, I've worked my butt off. Um, and, you know, it's not by all luck that I'm here. But at the same time, I feel like we are all in great position to really make headway in our respective fields because you guys have gotten to where you are right now in school and college doing what you're doing, you know, by your hard work and by being in great positions and by utilizing the resources that you have had at your disposal so far. And I think you can't stop doing that now. It's got to continue. But these are five big guidelines that I kind of have kind of lived by ever since the very beginning, starting out in this field, and that I continue to do so today. So I wanted to kind of list those five, and I'll kind of walk through them. But the first one, and these are in no particular order: trust your gut and don't be afraid to listen to yourself. Uh, can we go back one more? Sorry, my bad. Casting a wide net, you know, letting those opportunities lead to more opportunities. Not seeing tasks in terms of sheer size and trying to, you know, put a value or a stamp on one thing over the other. You got to attack everything with the same intensity. And then also mistakes are okay to make, as long as you're learning by them. So that way you got to make those mistakes kind of actually count and help you in the end. And then finally, we'll close out with the importance of relationships, which literally are the guiding light to what I do. Okay, we're going to the next slide. This is a quote. Laretha Jones is not a famous scholar. She is not a celebrity. She is my grandmother who raised me in the small town of Vidalia, Georgia, home of the famous sweet onions. If anybody's had a Vidalia onion, that's where I'm from. And she really, when I talk about hard work, when I talk about principles, when I talk about ethic, I owe it all to this hardworking woman who literally worked 2, 3 jobs at a time to ensure that I had the same opportunities and um, resources as white classmates who were in my class because I was kind of in some of the upper level classes of coursework, and there was not a lot of Black students, and there was not a lot of representation in terms of seeing people that look like me and look like us. So she really had to kind of go the extra mile in order for me to be afforded those same opportunities. She said this before, and she has made it her life's mission in terms of what she goes by, and I believe it. It's not about the trials and tribulations you're going to encounter in life. It's about coming through those same trials and tribulations a stronger, more formidable person. And I really, really have used that. I've quoted that in speeches I've given. I've quoted it in essays, scholarship essays that actually help pay for UGA. So shout out to Laretha Jones because I think it actually it's true. And it's like you don't let what you go through define you. Find out how that can kind of sharpen you, sharpen the iron, so to speak, and make you tougher and make you realize that that was a little bump in the road, but I can definitely move on and be better from it and because of it. Okay, cool. Move on. All right, let's go to that first. That's the first kind of maxim, I guess, if you will, and it's about trusting yourself and not being afraid to listen to yourself. This was very, very big in the start of my career because I originally was going to be a pharmacist. Like it's crazy doing what I do now and having fun with the celebrities and walking Tracy Ellis Ross to set and kikiing with Regina King and Regina Hall backstage. I could have been doing something completely different. And when I think about that, it just like kind of shocks me because I declared my major as pre-pharmacy before freshman orientation at UGA. I have aunts who are in the medical field. I have an aunt who's an occupational therapist. I have another aunt who's a registered nurse. I have a close cousin that's a registered nurse. And literally everybody kind of led me to believe that the only way to be successful, if you want to make money, if you want to make bank, and if you want to be that guy, you gotta make it in the medical field. And I was by no means scared of going into the medical field. I had done well in all classes. I mean, science wasn't my absolute favorite, or math. Neither one of those were my favorites. But I was like, look, I'm making good grades in it. I'm smart enough to handle it. Yeah, let's just do it. I want a surefire, quote unquote, success plan. And listening to a lot of family members, love my family to death, but listening to them, listening to friends and that sort of thing. And coming from where I come from, in my small rural town, it's like, if you want to be successful, that's what you have to do. And I really thought that's what it was. So I really ultimately had to trust that gut. I went to freshman orientation, summer of 2008. God, I feel so old saying that because, God, you guys were probably like, what, middle school or something in 2008? Anywho, I had my pre-pharmacy major declared. I'm excited. I know that that's the route I'm going in. And I just meet all these amazing people in Athens that summer. And I meet people who are declaring majors in different things, and they have these different goals and ambitions. Yes, they may have come from bigger cities. Yes, they may have come from other parts of the state and of the country and of the world. But I was like, well, if they can do what they want to do, why am I any different? And in that regard, I'm not, and I shouldn't be. So I really started to believe, okay, what really makes me happy? What makes Eric Demond Jones Jr. smile? And that ultimately led me to come to the realization that success comes in many forms. If I'm successful as an entertainment booker and producer, and it's what I love doing, that's going to bring me happiness, and that's kind of what I'm called to do. I don't have to necessarily be counting pills, and no disrespect to people who do. I mean, because that's everybody has to follow what they want to do, but I realize for me, what I would be happy doing. And I knew I had always followed the entertainment industry. I knew I naturally had a knack for entertainment. I always kept myself up to date on latest music, latest TV shows, latest movie shows. I could watch E! News as a 10-year-old and know every celebrity who came on the red carpet. And my stepsister and my stepmom would be like, "Boy, how do you know that?" It would be like B-listers, C-listers, D-listers on down. It didn't have to be the big movie stars. I kind of knew pretty much everybody, and it made me happy. So I ultimately, thought about being in the media industry and having this as a career path. And that's what I chose. So I really implore everybody to kind of really, at the end of the day, you're gonna make the call. This is your life. You're in the driver's seat. You have to do what you ultimately feel like it's best for you, because you're going to have your best interest and your happiness at heart no matter what. And I had to realize that, and it's a very important lesson I learned heading into college. Okay, casting a wide net. I say this a lot to a lot of interns, a lot of prospective graduates, or future hires. Um, you have to really think about things at times as stepping stones to get to where you want to be. Not everything is going to be that big, shiny, big job that you ultimately want to have at the very beginning. But if you can see yourself in a position, utilize that position financially, uh, at the position that you're in, and that can allow you to meet certain people, give you the flexibility to have time on the outside time to really flesh through and flesh out what you eventually want to do. I say don't be opposed to that. Open yourself up, because I feel like sometimes people have such a laser like focus, they block out the peripheral and they are not seeing anything else, when there's so many other things that could ultimately help you achieve that ultimate down the line goal. So with me, at first I was like, oh my God, I want to be a reporter. I want to be on camera. I'm fabulous. I'm Eric Jones, blah, blah, blah. I got to be on TV. That's how I want to make my stamp in this field and in media and journalism. And when I did that internship at GMA summer 2011, it really kind of woke me up that there are other parts of this industry of entertainment, of journalism, of TV that don't require me to be in front of the camera and be the star. There's a whole team and a whole slew of positions behind the scenes that ultimately help the people on camera look better than the people on camera could have made themselves look. And I really opened my eyes to that, or my eyes were open to that rather, when I did that internship. I said, wow, they put me in the booking department. And I don't know if you guys know a lot about booking in terms of the art form that booking is with news, but all those exclusive interviews that you see, if you see this big interview, somebody spoke for the first time, Michael Strahan's in that chair, Robin Robertson in that chair, Diane Sawyer's in that chair, and they're interviewing somebody. There had to be someone or a group of people making that happen, working with the publicist, working with the agent, calling the phones, making the hard conversations happen, and making those conversations translate into getting a butt in the chair. And that butt in the chair helps ratings, it helps the show, it elevates a platform. And that's what makes your show, in large part, successful and worthy of getting the attention of ultimately, hundreds, thousands, millions of people in that market or in that state or in around the country. So me being where I am, I even with me knowing I wanted to get into entertainment, I had to cast a wider net and be like, oh, I'm open to being behind the scenes. And now I'm like, wow, what a good call that I made, because had I been, for me, had I been, fixated on only being in front of the camera, it maybe could have taken me a lot longer to get my foot in the door. I don't know, but luckily I didn't have to find that out, because I took the jump and decided it's okay for me to not be on camera. I don't have to be the star in that way. I can be the star behind the scenes, getting things done, being a top producer, and I'm glad I opened myself up to that. So I again to make it translate to what you guys are doing and the perspectives that you guys are looking at. It's be open to you achieving your goals in other ways. It may be a little bit of a windy road, but if you get offered an assistant position at a top agency, but you thought you wanted to be a reporter, well, guess what? Agencies represent reporters and people on camera. So as an assistant, you're going to have access to a big Rolodex. You're going to be working for people who work for those people and who know what it takes to make it in that industry. So there's an opportunity for you to learn a lot while you're doing your job, while you're making money, while you're having meetings with people, as we call them, informational interviews, getting that kind of network built. And I really try to tell people to do that a lot. Like, laser focus is great, but if you're going to have a laser focus, turn your head a little bit, have a peripheral. So that way you can kind of, know that there's other things out there that could ultimately help you reach the peak that you want to reach. Here's another one of my favorite quotes. I'm a tennis player. So this is from Grand Slam champion and tennis legend and activist Billie Jean King. This quote is something that Serena Williams and Venus Williams also used a lot as they were playing, and I would hear them say it in interviews. And I really just kind of took it to heart, because I play tennis, and it's meant to be, it's meant to describe those moments on the court where you're battling. Tennis is an individual sport, so you're trying to dig deep inside. You're getting in a moment of the match where you have to turn things around, or you're in a tight position on the scoreboard. Pressure is a privilege. To be in that position, there's an opportunity for you to revel in that and to come out on the other side successful. And I apply that to a lot of things that I go through when I'm like, man, I got this deadline. I have these publicists stressing me out. My boss is giving me another assignment when I'm already calling on this story. This segment is weighing me down. I barely have any free time right now. Like, how am I going to do this? And then I ultimately have to, kind of center myself and be like, man, to be in this position, to be worthy of having this pressure is something that I don't take for granted. So even though, yes, I stress out a lot, I spiral within my own self a lot of times. I'm like, I wear myself out sometimes, like, oh my God, how am I gonna do it? How am I gonna do it? It ultimately is gonna work out. And I'm just like, man, people trust me, or entities, shows trust me to put all of this weight on me. And I know, listen, I love the Lord as well. So I know he's not gonna put any more weight on me than I can bear. I know that too. But at the same time, having a weight of responsibility and being trusted with that, to me, means a lot. And it means that, wow, I'm in a position that I could come out of here and really prove to people what I'm about and what I'm made of. And that's a good position to be in, whether on or off the court. Okay, this is another big, 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 big one when it comes to interns. I've seen this a lot with GMA interns. Like, you're lucky enough to get an internship at GMA or at the White House or wherever. Sometimes you're gonna have to do stuff that, that to some people can seem menial and could seem mundane. Who cares? Do it. You have to do it. You're going to get entrusted eventually with bigger and bigger things, but everybody has to essentially start somewhere. And I feel like a lot of times, a lot of interns that I see, and again, this isn't the blanket, GMA, I'm just saying in general too, because I do a lot of informationals with a lot of students coming up, and we share stories. I'm just like, man, if when I was an intern, if they said, go staple this paper and just like walk it down the hall and walk it back just for, you know, shoots and giggles, I would do it, and do it with a smile on my face. Because if I did that right, if I did that task well, I'm going to get trusted with a little bit something bigger, with something a little bit bigger. Then I'm going to get trusted with something bigger the next time. Then it goes on, so on and so forth. And then before you know it, wow, you are briefing David Beckham on his segment. You are talking to Tracy Ellis Ross about what we're going to do that morning on the show. And I just think that's indicative of a lot of different opportunities and internships and jobs. It's like a lot of people want to come out and be that girl or that guy at the very beginning. And it's like, no, you can't be that girl or that guy until you prove that you can handle it. And that means doing everything with a smile on your face, like knowing you can get it done. I remember a senior producer when I was an intern asked me to, like, she couldn't PDF, she didn't know how to PDF from the fax machine. And I just thought it was so simple and so easy, but I did it. I was more than happy to help her with that. And then she started asking for my input on segments that the show was working on. So as an intern, I started being involved with different segments. So I really, really, would say to students and people who are just now starting out, each little task leads to something bigger and bigger if you do it right and you do it well. That's how you make your name. Okay, here's one that was very hard for me to learn because I am a perfectionist as well. Contrary to popular belief, it is okay to fall and to make a mistake, but it's okay to do that as long as you learn from it. I'm not saying make mistake after mistake and then you're just like, oh well, shrug your shoulders. I mean, own your mistakes, own that you've made a mistake if and when it happens, and then learn from that the next time and course correct yourself. Working on a show that's daily, we have a segment pretty much every day. I normally can tell kind of what went well, what didn't, what can be improved on, what can't, that sort of thing. And I'm able to kind of make those adjustments. I don't get it right every time, but and nor do I claim to. But if I've done something and my boss is like, oh, okay, that could have been a little bit better, you better believe I'm focusing on that. And that aspect, at least, is going to be better on the next segment. And that's what I mean. And with me, I own pretty much everything that comes my way, good, bad, or ugly. I'm like, look, I'd rather come from a full transparent slate than not. So if me and a publicist are dealing with something and I made a misstep or I offered the wrong date for a segment and it's my screw up in the clear email, it's my mistake. Hey, I take it. Let's figure it out though. Let's move forward and let's figure it out. Like I'm not throwing anybody else under the bus. It was Eric. I am not gonna sit there and wallow in pity. I'm gonna figure out how we can move forward and how we can make turn this around in order to accomplish what we both need to accomplish, which is putting on great television or putting on a great segment, and so on and so forth. So I really tell people a lot to like, it's don't get down on yourself, but also use that to propel you to do better the next time. And yeah, that's kind of like what I use to go forward every day at work. This Zora Neale Hurston is one of my favorite authors. Their Eyes Are Watching God is my favorite book, and so I just always have looked to like look at old interviews she's done or quotes from her and things like that. And this was one that I kind of really zeroed in on most recently earlier this year with the social unrest that's been going on in our country, with the killings of our Black and Brown brothers and sisters at the hands of armed police, white police. And this quote really stuck with me, and I think it can translate to a lot of different areas in life as we go on, as we get older. It's about being vocal, and if you're silent about your pain, they'll kill you and say you enjoyed it because you didn't say anything. So for me, it's about not only speaking up, but knowing when to speak up as well, so that way you have some credibility with your voice. I'm one of the few Black entertainment producers pretty much at our network for sure, but even in our industry at this level, there's not a ton of us booking entertainment for a platform like this. So I don't take that lightly. So if I speak up in our newsroom or if I'm pitching a story, I know the power of my voice. I'm by no means a representative of my entire race or demographic, but I feel like I have a unique perspective being at that type of place. And I revel in it. I want to make sure I'm speaking up if we're saying X about my community and I have experience in it. I want to speak up and let you know where I'm coming from. There's only one Eric Jones. There's only one Black, big-eyed, tall-haired guy from Vidalia, Georgia, who has all the experiences that I have, and that's similar to what you got, how the perspective that you guys carry, living the lives that you live, studying the things that you're studying, doing the things that you're doing. There's only one of you. That is where your power is knowing that and embracing that and using that to be heard and to speak up when the time is right and speak up in the right ways. Now, I know I said I wasn't gonna rank these, but as I've mentioned earlier, relationships pretty much is how I do my job. Like I don't just, you know, cold call people or be like, "Oh, I'm Eric Jones, I'm with GMA, so let's just do the show and let that be that." I've actually established real relationships with people that I work with, colleagues across this industry. It's how we get things done. GMA is competitive with the Today Show with CBS This Morning. If a publicist trusts me or GMA and they want to work with me on a segment and want to put their client on Good Morning America, they want to trust Good Morning America. They want to trust me in terms of like a colleague that they can work with to make sure their client and their project is accurately represented and gets the best promotion that it can. You know, if I didn't care about relationships and I wanted to screw people over and not be transparent and open and honest, what's stopping them from going across the street and going to the competition? You know, we're all great shows at the end of the day. Obviously, I believe my show is the best, but you know, there's no stopping somebody from taking their story or their what they want to get out there to another platform. So the position that I'm in is that I want to make sure that I'm not a barrier to that happening. Like I want to make sure I'm always above board. I'm always doing the best I can for my contacts, for my friends in the industry, and it does mean a difference to say, oh, I consider Beyonce's publicist, Yvette Knowles Shore, a friend. I do. You know, yes, she's a publicist and I'm a booker, and we have a symbiotic relationship in terms of she needs to get stuff on the show, and we like to have great content on the show. So that's how that relationship always works with publicists and bookers and producers. But at the same time, we have a solid friendship behind that. So like we text, we call each other. There are sometimes where she just checks in on me, you know, not even to pitch something, and that's just one, you know, example. But to me that means a lot because at the end of the day, yes, it helps me, you know, with my job and where I am, but at the same time it's all about being a great person too at the end of the day, and connecting with people, and you guys, you know, really establishing true authentic relationships, because that's what's really going to carry the weight down the road. You know, on my tombstone it's not going to say fabulous GMA booker. It's going to say a great person and great life lives, or I wanted to say that, you know, is what I mean ultimately. So it really just says, as you're going through this industry, as you're moving forward in whatever career path you choose, relationships are a big part of what you do and what can ultimately help lead you to different opportunities as well, outside of work, in work, within the industry, out of the industry, period. A lot of opportunities that I see my colleagues get, my friends get, it's not from just filling out an application online and boom, they got the job. It's about people vouching for them who knows their character and who knows them. Hey, so and so's looking for a job over here. You know what? I used to intern with them. They're a great person. Or, oh, I heard, you know, Viacom has an opening for junior publicist. Eric, didn't you have somebody that you were mentoring? That's how these conversations in the industry work. I'm not going to sit here and say that no jobs are gotten via the LinkedIn's and all that. That's great. But again, use those to kind of help amplify how people know you, because ultimately at the end of the day, I really strongly believe that that's how a lot of these doors are opened, is about not only people you know, but also who knows you. So my friend Lily Workna, who's the editor in chief at Blavity, she and I went to UGA together, go Dogs, and we graduated together. And she said that, and it kind of stuck with me a lot too. It's like, yeah, you can know a lot of people, but do they know who you are? And how does that work? You know, is there a relationship there? Have you established a connection that's solid, and that's gonna propel you to what you want to do next? So yeah, the pictures that you're seeing are from CultureCon, the Ideas Conference that Tayo was talking about earlier in my bio. That's me hugging Regina King at CultureCon. I booked and produced her there. And then there's Sanaa Lathan, who I booked and produced for the same conference as well. And my friend, one of my closest friends, Imani Ellis, created CultureCon and created the Creative Collective NYC. If you guys want to follow that on Insta, it's at the CCNYC. And that just also goes to show you relationships. She and I were friends first, and then she came up with this killer idea to get Black and brown creatives together to talk about everything, to share ideas, to have these safe in bold spaces as creatives. And not saying that there was never an organization like that that existed, but in terms of like young people our age, Gen Zers, in between and on down, for us to get together and really celebrate each other's dopeness and to create opportunities amongst ourselves. Like people are getting jobs throughout this network. People are collaborating on projects. Oh, you're a dope photographer. You know what? I'm in marketing. Oh, you're trying to get, oh, you need somebody to create a deck. I got you. Like it's such a beautiful thing to see. And it's growing by the buttload. So CultureCon used to be something that was thrown for like 100 or 200 people a few years ago. And then through just the community and through I guess the standard of excellence that Amani has shown, and she's allowed me to kind of come into the fold and help any way I can. And using my I guess my background, I've been able to bring the celebrity and the entertainment aspect to sharing these important stories and getting those out there. But wow, this wouldn't be possible without friendship for me. And I just tell that story to just really underscore that point. Okay, so that completed my 5 guidelines. I hope I didn't bore you, and I apologize for my voice being hoarse as well because that just shows you how much I'm on the go. But thank you for listening to that. I know that Taya, we have a activity next, a quick activity.